Dolly has been a member of the group since July of this year, and he's been telling stories and making award-winning photos for a while. With 9 CARE Awards and Black and White Magazine's 2011 award for photojournalism. His hometown is Boulder, and he eagerly travels for coming up with some of his material. In college, he studied photography, got a BS in marketing and an MBA. He has served as board member on local chapters of the American Society of Media Photographers, Art Decorators Club, Irish Network, and CU Alumni Association. His clients come in all shapes and sizes, from individuals to corporate giants. Some of the biggies are Walmart, United Airlines, Ford Motors, Key Bank, Rolling Stone, Spin, Sports Illustrated, Sporting News, People, Arthritis Today, and First for Women. Thank you, Don.
Okay, so I'm a photographer and a photojournalist, and regardless of which way I'm working, my focus is really on the visual storytelling part of things. I'm just pulling this from my site. The story side of photography has always been what has driven me. I mean, I love the capturing of images, but I really am fascinated by digging into the people or the products, the things that are going on, and figuring out what the story is. So, and I use that whether I'm working on the business side of things or I'm working for a publication as a photojournalist. Either way, it's really about that. So, you recall this is on the back of my card. This is from a project that I did for 9/11 families. It's a group that supports emergency responders. And it was a cool project because I got to spend a month going around fire stations and meeting people. And that's part of the thing I love, is getting to know people. The camera doesn't come out usually for quite a while. I'm really digging in and trying to figure out what they're about. So this was part of that campaign. And it was really about establishing, getting away from the thing of their heroes, their neighbors, their friends, and they need our help, that kind of thing. So that's what that campaign was about. I'm going to shift here. I define my work as visual storytelling about people, places, and things. So I have my site set up so we can just look at people. So great example of a story was, I got a call, would I be interested in spending 3 days with the Dalai Lama? And after a few expletives, I agreed to do it. Of course I was interested. And to me, the story was about, figuring out the story was that there are a million pictures of him out there, standing at a podium, talking, whatever. So to me, the story was about the people and their relationship to him, and the love that they have in their eyes when they greet him and present him with a bowl of milk, that kind of thing. So that's where I'm really looking for the story. I've done a lot of work in music and baseball. Another interesting example is covering Barack Obama's campaign. It was funny. For some reason, I didn't think it was going to be that big of a deal when he did his rally. And I'm like at home, and my wife's like, shouldn't you be going down to this thing? You know, it's going to be a big deal. And I'm like, okay, I go down there. I hadn't even prearranged my credential or anything. And I got there and realized this is a big deal. I should have done that. So I was able to talk my way in. But they basically put the photographers on 2 grandstands, which means that I'm elbow to elbow with everyone else that's going to get the same thing. So I thanked them and I walked out into the crowd because I saw the walkway going out and I realized it was for him and that he was going to greet people. So I wanted that sea of people effect, and that was more the story than him being behind the podium. And an interesting counterpart to that is under my places one. This is an image I got from that day. Again, the story to me, it was not as much about him as the crowd of 100,000 people that were there.
I'm sorry, do you have specific statistics on that?
I don't. That was an estimate of looking out at concert crowds and...
That looks more like 15,000.
It's
so easy to Photoshop.
Yeah, well... yeah, that's not a verified thing. So this was fun, though, because behind him was a lift with his banner on it. And so I went over to the guy with the lift and I said, "Could you take me up?" And he said, "I don't see why not." So I got on the lift. I'm not real big on heights. But as I'm going up, my friends from the Associated Press and the Denver Post, who are sitting in the grandstands, are looking at me cursing. They knew that I was going to get the shot of the day for that. So again, that's the storytelling part. So places. Come on. Go back. Places can be industrial locations. This was a shot for Denver Water. CH2 on Hill, the consulting firm, had remodeled it basically. And the project was come up with something fun and artsy for their corporate report. How do you make pipes and things look interesting? So, so it was finding cool colors, the complements of the green and the red. Another shot from that is the filter room, which was kind of creating an abstract of these big filters. And so it's for a corporate report and fun to try and figure out how to photograph a space, a location. Other things I do, I work with remodeling companies and architects to do exteriors and interiors of homes. Here's another example, a trellis of a company that a company did, and then some interior work of homes. So those are some of the places that I've worked with. And then on to the third category of things. So an example of this is the, whoops, that wasn't the one. This is fiber art, which is pretty cool. Pretty cool work there. But this is from the Chicago Cultural Center. It's the largest Tiffany dome in the world. And so it's I thought that was kind of a cool thing to work on. This is for an artist. So again, the story. How do you make a story out of jewelry? Well, to me, it was the fact that she's working in silver and these natural stone materials. So instead of shooting it high style with the reflective plexiglass or whatever, it was putting it in its more natural environment of shooting it on a flagstone. And you know, that to me was more a story about what she was about. She was about taking these natural materials and making them into beautiful things. Speaking of beautiful things, Daniel will probably appreciate this one. Done a lot of beer photography over the years. It's kind of fun, although my studio does get to the point where it just smells like a brewery and needs a rest.
That might appeal to a certain demographic.
Here's an example of you know, trying to tell a story with something that's basically a black box. And how do you do that? This is for a company in Louisville, Optical Technologies. And so my approach to this was to stack 5 of them together, because this is commonly how they would be seen, but to light it according to graphic principles of the reader's Z, where the reader's eye starts here, travels in a Z, and it spends most of its time, this is from psychology studies, up in this corner. So that's where the prism emblem is most apparent, so where the eye is going to spend the most time, according to that reader's Z approach. So, yeah, so down to work I've done for a catering company, Spice of Life, for their materials and things. And really when I'm working with somebody, the key to what I'm doing is trying to figure out, really looking at the strategy, and that's where I'm using my business background. Is I'm not just, okay, let's take a picture, let's figure out what in the long term this means. What does this mean to your brand? And how is this going to have a life and be useful for a long time and really communicate the proper message? They were after wanting to show that they really had fresh ingredients. And these images of this and the spices have been in their brochures and things for many, many years on their trucks. So it's that thing of finding something that's going to have a life to it and last. So people, places, and things. Sometimes I just like looking for abstract stuff or interesting observations as I'm wandering around. So, and then as Suzanne said, I'm going to go back to people. I do have a pretty extensive background in the martial arts, and so I've done a lot of photography in the martial arts world. This is a pretty scary gentleman showing off his knives that he's created. And it's the same gentleman that I did a photo story on here. He makes hatchets that the Special Forces use when they've been going into primarily when we first went into Afghanistan, because you can't really fire guns very safely in caves, so they go in with hatchets and knives. Kind of scary stuff, but this is him making them. He hand makes them for the Special Forces. They carry him in a sheath, and it was a cool story to follow this process of him doing that. So, I'll open it up to questions now. Yeah.
So, who was your favorite musician to do a story on?
Wow, favorite musician. I had a lot of fun with Michael Franti. And because oftentimes, if I'm covering a concert, I'm not given a lot of time. They'll sometimes say you get 3-4 songs, because they're giving me access right up front. Franti said, we kind of got a long night and a lot of music. Would a half hour, 45 minutes be enough for you? And I was like, that's cool. So, yeah. And what a wonderful person he is. You know, that's, again, that respect for who and what he stands for.
So John, those are great photos. And how do your subjects come by you, or you reach out to them?
So referrals is a big thing. Really, a good referral is any business that is either looking to do an initial branding or rebrand, working on some of their marketing materials. Work with a lot of local places. The biggies like Walmart came to me initially through my agent. I have an agent in Chicago, and United Airlines and Ford, but really then once the relationship is established, they come directly to me. My agent just continues to get a cut. Publications find me on my professional society website or through referrals, so it's mostly referral business. Yeah.
Would you do headshots for
Oh, yeah.
TRP?
Oh, sure. Yeah, I do headshots. I do all kinds of.
Is that in your facility or how?
Typically I have a studio, but I don't typically do headshots there because I'll pull up my Instagram feed because it has a photo of my studio. Because there's my place. I find it unnatural to have people standing in front of like a piece of paper or one of those painted things. To me, the story is about the location and where somebody is. So I usually do portraiture on location and find something that is matching up with the person and their business and what they do.
That was a
So
great
we have-
image of the redhead standing there among the sunflowers. on one of your shots that you had earlier.
Okay, thank
Maybe
you.
she was a
Oh,
strawberry.
yes,
Yeah.
now I know what you're talking about. Thank you.
So we have-
And that was real, that was not Photoshop.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So we have 1 minute, so.
Okay. Any more questions?
I just want to hear about your 3 days with the Dalai Lama.
Very cool. He came, started at DU. It was very powerful where they actually, I photographed him when he initially came in, but then they took all of my camera gear and put it in a room, and they had the dogs go through everything. And then they let me in, and I was there with 10 Nobel Peace Prize laureates. Desmond Tutu and others, and which was a pretty powerful moment.
Yeah.
The following day was with kids at an event called Peace Jam, kids that came in from around the world. And then the day after that, we traveled up to the mountain, Shambhala Mountain Center, where he blessed the great Sherpa, and did that. Then we traveled back to Pepsi Center.
Pepsi Center.
Yeah, from Shambhala to Pepsi Center, where he gave, a speech.
The microcosm of our life here.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.